Alright, what's up, friends? Civic Malz here, bringing you one more coffee talk for right now. We might go back into games after this. This is a item tier list for Malzahar, our Prophet of the Void friend. And we'll be going through, I kind of got pulled up here duo screen. So I got, my tier list, and then I got the items so you can kind of look at, items and their abilities and whatnot. We can look at the stats. So, first, before anything else starts, this is completely 100%, my bias. I was Masters. I got demoted from uh, letting my account decay back to Diamond 1, but I won a game, so now I'm in my Master promo. But anyways, a higher Elo Malzahar player. This is from what I've seen, what I've experienced, stuff that I've gone through. So please, take that as you will, and we'll just get into this video. So I think the first thing we should talk about is, since it's a coffee talk, I'm sipping on my buddy's coffee. It's called Pure Earth Coffee. My buddy down in Fort Wayne, Indiana, making some really good coffee. Bailey, if you're listening to this, appreciate you, bro. And Q, Quentin, can't forget about you either, man. Damn good coffee. So we will start off. I think the first thing we should do in this tier list, we should start off with the mythic items. We won't waste any more time. We'll get straight into it. And once again, this is based purely off of my, frame of reference. So first item, everyone knows, everyone loves Leandries. So looking at mythic items, Leandries, it gives you ability power, ability haste, and mana. And then it also gives you more 5% ability haste per every legendary item you get. So I think that goes without saying, is that it's Malzahar's his bread and butter. Malzahar, you think of it, he is a control mage. He loves to shove waves, hit minions, and then ult people. So he's going to need a lot of mana to clear waves, and that's what Leandries helps out with. So he's got the mana for pushing waves, ability power, and then ability haste, which is arguably, I keep seeing this in the Reddit threads of people trying to theory craft, and everyone every time goes back to, how do I make him stronger? You just make his ultimate, his R ability, just on cooldown a lot faster. So ability haste will help that. 20 per or 20 ability haste off the rip plus 5 extra for every legendary gets really good when you couple that with like lucidity boots. So I don't think there's a better spot for this item than S tier. You could argue whatever you want, but 90, well, I say that in a couple videos I've made. I went other items. I'd say about 80% of the time you're building Leandries. Now, that's really helpful against tanks, bruisers, people with a lot of max HP, because as you can see in its description on the right, it's 4% target maximum health. And then, that's that, and then it's capped, blah, 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 against monsters. So the agony is 0 to 12% based on target's bonus health magic damage. So again, a lot of tankier people, higher health people, you want to build this item on. But if there is a case, and I could see that somewhere, some way, if there is a case, I'll put it maybe in the middle. I wish you could put it in the middle. But Ludens. Ludens, not actually a bad item. I've done a couple tests. I've went to the Reddit threads. I did some numbers, and if there are say like 4 squishies on a team, 4 champions that don't have a lot of health, don't have a lot of resistances, or if they do, this gives magic pen. Ludens is not a bad item. It gives you the ability power, ability haste, magic, so it gives you all of that, but it's more so concerned around magic penetration, which is good because, you know, most of the time Malzahar goes off of his malefic visions, his E, space age, whatever you want to call it, and that's where a lot of his damage comes from, is from his E, and then resetting it via his hitting a Q on him or on the enemy, or if you ult the enemy, it resets the cooldown. So that's where that burn damage over time, really comes into play. But Ludens is also really good if you're throwing out a lot of Qs, because it still gives you a lot of mana. You can clear waves. You won't see that damage over time burn, like once your E is done, they'll stop taking damage, and that's a little frustrating sometimes, because when you have a kill and then it just doesn't kill them because you didn't build Leandries, it can get a little frustrating. But I can see a case where, Ludens could be either A or B tier. Like, those are the 2 items for sure that you should always be buying. You know, both of them build off of the Lost Chapter, which with the new changes to Lost Chapter being really cheap, it's really easy to get. All you have to do is back. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Let's see this. So it's 1100 gold. So you can back incredibly fast, especially if you take the Sapphire Crystal at the start of the game. So Lost Chapter is a must for Malzahar. Now there are some things, I mean straight off the bat, Night Harvester, do not build this on Malz. I don't think I've ever seen any people. It sounds like it's good, you know, it's got higher ability power, it gives you a little bit of health, a lot of ability haste, and more ability haste per legendary item, but there's no mana. And unless you somehow are building like a Tear of the Goddess because you want to get Seraph's Embrace, Night Harvester just really ain't it, Chief. It is just, it's just not it. You need mana on Malzahar. He will suffer greatly if he has no, if you have mana issues. So just don't buy Night Harvester. Trust me on it. Same thing with Riftmaker. There's only in this game. There's only a select few champions that can build it. And you don't want to be like Teemo. So this item is good. You know, it gives you a little bit of Omnivamp, ability haste, power. Gives you a little bit Omnivamp plus ability power per legendary. But again, you really need the mana. I mean, you do true damage after it stacks, but again, you just need mana, and then the damage output for those two items, Liandry's and Ludens, are just a little bit too much. So I wouldn't see that. Crown, I would personally put it at don't buy, but I think for the vast majority of people that play this game, it could potentially have a case in C tier. And I can't wait to do this tier list, you know, in a month or two, and then it's just not there anymore because it's bad. But let's look at it. So it builds out of Lost Chapter, so okay, that's good. Gives you ability power, ability haste, that's good. A little bit of health, a little bit of tankiness. When you get legendary items, it gives you a tiny bit extra movement speed and ability power, which is good. But the safeguard passive, this is the only reason I could maybe see it. So if you're really just getting thrashed in a game, you know, you're just repeatedly ganked over and over and over, and you're actually dying, so you don't have a good KD. You know, they have like a Kha'Zix or a Zed or Talon or an assassin, so maybe like even like a Kali or something that needs that burst on you really quick to kill you. I could see a case where Crown of the Shattered could be built. Again, personally, there are other things like, I don't know, Zhonya's that would help against it, but I could see a case for this. Personally, I have never built this at any point in the game while I'm playing Malzahar. I would only build it if I'm really just getting trashed in my lane and I'm just the only thing I'm ever useful for on this entire planet is just to press R on a champion. Then yeah, then I would build maybe Crown and just, you know, tank the 3 people trying to dive me for no reason, not worth any gold, whatever. So I don't know. I personally would just not buy it. Rod of Ages, I don't know. I see some people trying to run it, so maybe I'll put it at C for the vast majority. Personally, if this were up to me, this is what my list would look like so far for Mythics, but I guess we have to make a case for it. So Rod of Ages here, it gives you ability power, health, and mana, and we all know that it stacks every minute for up to, what, 10 minutes, and then you have, you know, let's see this. It's bonus 200 health, bonus 200 mana, bonus 40. So it has 100 ability power at max stacks, 600 health, 600 mana. So that's really good. But the Ludens already gives you, you know, 80 ability power, 600 mana. Liandry's already give you 80 ability power, 600 mana. So it's basically the same thing. The only stat that you're really gaining from this is health. You're gaining a lot of health at the cost of ability haste. And of course this mythic says it gives you 5 ability haste per every myth or every legendary, but you just don't really need that, because, or you need something with more ability haste, because again, you're playing Malzahar, you're trying to use your ult on cooldown. Anything you can do to get that ult up faster is your priority. So we have that, but I mean, I guess the other part that we got to talk about is the passive. Is you restore some mana, and you get a shield, correct? No, no, sorry, that's Seraph. So we'll talk about that later. But yeah, Rod of Ages. Basically, you get some decayed movement speed, and then you know get a little bit of health for the mana that you spend. Again, I just don't see it. There's so many different. It's a pretty niche item where tank mages like Rise would be a really good one. Aurelian Soul would be a really good one because they just need it. Malzahar, you really don't need it. You're trading the utility and the damage for just having more health, which again, like Crown, if you're just getting sauced on for a lot of the game, I wouldn't build it. Plus, it has to stack. So if you're getting really far behind in a game, you don't want to get this item at like 13 or 14 minutes because there's no way it's gonna stack up into 24, 25-minute game where you're already really behind. You're probably just gonna lose the game. So that's why I would probably just put it at don't buy, but I'll leave it at C tier. So that covers the mythics. I think that was pretty in depth for what I can give. I'm trying to move this video along. We got a lot to talk about. So, oh, sorry, Rocket Belt, don't buy it. I mean, let's look at it. You get magic penetration, a little bit of haste, ability power, health. It's just not worth it because when you use the active on this item, you gain a burst of movement speed and you like jump forward a little bit. As people playing against Malzahar, they'll usually have good positioning and they'll stay back. Maybe if you're trying to come from the bushes or something like that, and you're coming and they don't see you, then maybe it could help. It'll give you movement speed towards enemy champions, but I think there are other ways you could use like other things instead of Rocket Belt. So say for example, you're trying to build Rocket Belt, you want that little burst of movement speed forward, just hit Flash, because if you have Flash, the combo is unbreakable. You can instantly Flash ult someone, they'll have no idea it's coming, versus they'll get to see the animation of the Rocket Belt, you'll run forward to them and then ult them. But another thing too, if you want that movement speed, just go Ghost. A lot of people are going Ghost on Malzahar now. It's very, very viable, especially with the items that Malzahar builds, and that could be good. Let's quickly talk about this too. I forgot that was in there. Everfrost. I would just not build this item. You get, some health, mana, ability power, and haste, but you don't really need this item to root people in place because you have the most broken root in the game, which is your ultimate. So I wouldn't build Everfrost personally. I don't think you're ever going to need it on Malzahar. So now we will get into the legendary items. We'll talk a little bit more. I'll kind of go through my builds and like what I do kind of. So to start off, we'll put the Rylai's. I would put it in S tier. I think the first two items that Malzahar should ever build in his entire life are Liandry's and Rylai's until they fix something about the game. Because if you look at Rylai's here, it gives you a lot of ability power, some health, so it gives you some tankiness because Malzahar right off the rip isn't that doesn't have that much health as a champion, so that really helps. Take a sip of my coffee. But then you have your ability damage effects put slows on the enemy for 30 seconds for 1 second, but if you put his space aids on someone with this Rylai's on, it'll slow for 4 seconds because it's the duration of the time that the ability is happening. And then if you reset it, it'll slow for another 4 seconds. So yeah, that is very important to have. I mean, hold on, don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure it slows for 4 seconds, but it could also just slow for the first second that you have the ability damage on him. But regardless, you can always reset Rylai's. It helps so much when you're engaging, disengaging, running away, anything like that. The slow, anytime you hit them with either your space aids, which is a point and click slow now. You have your W, which is your Voidlings. Anytime the Voidlings bite an enemy champion, it slows them. So that'll reset the cooldown. Or if you're in the middle of running away, you throw out your Voidlings. Either A, they have to stop and attack them. B, they get hit by the Voidlings and then they're slow. And then it stops them from trying to pursue you, usually. And then, of course, you can have like the slow on them. You can re-proc it with the Q. Shameless plug to one of my YouTube shorts that I did. I showed the effectiveness of Rylai's plus I think Ghost. So that's a very good combo to have as a Malzahar player. Is you have the slow from Rylai's, plus you have the Ghost, which gives you more movement speed. No one's getting away from you. So that's that item. Incredibly good. Whether you build it with Ludens or Leandries, you should build that item second, 100%. Um, Going on now to Zonia's. I think Zonia's is a really good item. It has everything that you could ever want for a Malzahar player, and this is the one. This is the one-stop shop like cheat for, having to buy all those other items. So look at Zonia's. It's 3k gold, ability power, ability haste, armor. It gives you the haste that you really like. It gives you armor, so anytime you're up against like assassins or you know just in general, fighters, whatever. And then it has the most broken stat in the entire game, which is stasis, which makes you untargetable for 2.5 seconds. And it only has like a 2-minute cooldown, plus any kind of ability haste or um, item haste that you can get from like your runes could make that go down even faster. So you get the stopwatch component, and then once you use the stopwatch component, then you want to look to get into the Zonias. You don't have to buy it, third item or anything like that. But I usually buy it in the third to fourth item range. I think it's just an awesome item. This Zonia's, that's why mages don't really, like Malzahar don't really receive too many buffs, is because they have something that gives them a lot of power, plus it gives them the broken stat of, stasis. So in terms of what you would use the item for, is you use it against very like assassiny people, or if you get into a tight spot, you need to Zonias that your team can either come up and follow you and try and dig you out of whatever grave you're trying to dig yourself in. And it's really good to counter like the crown, or say like Rod of Ages or something like that. I would even say it counters the Seraph's Embrace, because what you're really doing is this is a very defensive item. So you're building this for defense. I would build this item for defense. I would build this item if I was really passive slash defensive. I would build Seraphs if I was really passive slash defensive. So that's that item. Really good. Really good. Highly recommend. Next item, Seraph's Embrace. I'd probably put a B tier. I wouldn't build this every game. I wouldn't build it most games, to be honest with you. There's a lot of scaling that does with it, and you buy your Lost Chapter, you have your mana, so you don't need to buy a tier, because you need to buy a tier and have it fully stack. So you need to get 360 bonus mana by attacking champions and or minions, or monsters, whatever you want to call it. So that's a stacking item. So the only time I'd really build Seraphs is if I was building like maybe Ludens or Rod of Ages. I think that would be my case for it. But Seraphs, it gives you ability power, haste, which is good, health, and then obviously mana, which is Malzahar's like one big thing he needs. So that's why the item's not that bad. I put it in B tier. I see a lot of people. Also, shout out to Prophet Malzahar. I watch him play all the time, and I see him build it a lot. So, the good thing that it really does is it gives you right here what it says in its lifeline passive, is that once you get below 30% max HP, you get a shield that gives you your current mana plus 250, so you could get a big ass shield, and that'll help you out a lot. I see a lot of times like V-Guard players play it because they really just scale. They don't care too much about ability power, but they throw out abilities like crazy. So that's why I would say build it with a mana item. So like, I guess even maybe Leandries, Ludens, Rod. Yeah, so I would put it as a B tier. It's not a bad item. It's really good against like, again, like assassins or people that do burst damage. That's why, I personally would build Zonias, but I think, this is the armor version of Seraphs. Zonias is the armor version of Seraphs. I think that's fair. Because this one you go untargetable, this one you just get a big shield. Both of them are very defensive items. Depends on how you want to play it. Doesn't matter. Next one, Nashor's Tooth. Just don't buy this item. You're not going to need it as Malzahar. It gives you a boost of like ability power and some haste, which again is okay. You don't need the 50% attack speed, nor are you doing on-hit damage with your autos, because you're not autoing all that often. I wouldn't buy it. I guess also an I wouldn't buy or don't buy is Banshees, because Malzahar's passive is already a Banshees. I'm trying to find it over here real quick. It's just, it gives you MR, which is something that you need, but it's just really not, it's just not it. It gives you, where is it? There it is. What's it coming up? Come on up, babe. Come on. Yeah, it grants you a spell shield. It gives you ability power, haste, and MR. So the only thing that's really good about it is the Verdant Barrier, which is this item right here. It gives you, I don't know why this website's a little weird. It gives you MR, a magic resistance. So that could be good against like bursty people, but at that point, I would just build Merc Treads. I don't think I have boots on here, unfortunately, but I would build Mercenary Treads. I do support building other things than just like Magic Pen boots, by the way. I could see Ninja Tabbies or, you know, Merc Treads being the thing, so don't buy that. Next up, let's do Lichbane. Again, you don't really need Lichbane. You're not you're not hitting an ability and then autoing. You're probably hitting an ability and then pressing R, so something like that. So you don't really need this. It gives you good ability power, haste, and a little bit of move speed, which is okay. But I just wouldn't. I just don't think it's right, Chief. So next up, Horizon Focus. It gives you a lot of ability power. It gives you ability haste, a little bit of health, and it has this Hyper Shot passive, which is actually kind of good. Is if you hit them at 700 units away, which is enough for like a Q. If you throw a Q at someone and it hits, it's gonna proc this. So it'll reveal them and increase your damage that you deal to them for 10 seconds, or 10% for 6 seconds. I just don't think it's that good right now. I tried to test it out. I wasn't too impressed. So maybe I'll put that as a D, don't buy. You really just don't need it. That would be like a fourth or fifth item, and at that point the game's already kind of almost over. So there's that. Very controversial item right here. Very controversial, man. Is Demonic's Embrace. Very weird how everyone wants to build it, but then doesn't build it. I'm putting it at B right now, but I might change based on what I'm reading here. So it gives you ability power, which everyone likes. It gives you the health, which everyone likes. And then you gain ability power to bonus health. So that's kind of good. Maybe if you're building something scaling, like I said, like with Rod of Ages, maybe this would be a better item to go with it. Because Malzahar loves damage over time, which, like I said, the Liandry's is S tier. But Demonics, on the other hand, what sucks is that, if you look at the Azakana Gaze, the unique passive, dealing ability damage curses enemies, and then there's a melee and a ranged multiplier. And so Malzahar's a ranged character, so it's kind of a nerf. And they did nerf this item for, you know, mages and stuff like that because they are ranged. This is why you see Demonic built a lot on like Diana, because she's melee, she's AP and melee. Udyr Udyr's a massive one, and a Mumu, because they're AP and they're melee. So that would be an awesome time to use it. So yeah, so it nerfs down to 4% of their max health as total damage over 4 seconds, and then, you know, 1% of their max health is magic damage every second over 4 seconds. So it's a nerfed version of Liandry's. I personally did not really find it that satisfying when playing Malzahar building this. So I would put it at maybe B tier, maybe C tier, honestly. I personally wouldn't buy it because I think there are much more good utility items than buying more damage. If you wanted more damage, I would just go Rabadons. So I don't know. You know, I just don't know. I don't think it's a good item personally. Again, my opinion. Don't flame me too hard in the comments, but I would put it as C tier, maybe B tier. But for right now, I'm putting it as C because I really just haven't built it. I've tried to build it in my games. I don't like it. I don't really build it in ranked games, so that's why I'm going to put it at C. Rabadons, I'd probably put it as B tier. I think Rabadons is an awesome item, just in general. Don't get me wrong, it's like one of the most busted items in the game for mages. It gives you so much in terms of like damage output. Yeah, but it gives you 120 ability power plus 40% when it's complete. So the only downside I see of this is 3,600 gold. That's a lot of gold. You have to be very far ahead. And if you are very far ahead as a Malzahar player, that's really good. You're solo carrying the game. The way that I play it though, if I'm really far ahead, I'm doing something wrong because I'm supposed to be supporting my jungler and my ADC however I can. I'm trying to get the most assists that I can. I don't really think Rabadon's is the right item for me. But if you want to like totally carry games and just be a badass and just build as much damage as you can, Rabadon's in that case would probably be A tier, maybe even S tier. But I put it as B tier because I look at this as more of like, I'm building Boots, I'm building Leandries, I'm building Rylai's, and then I'll talk about this soon, but I built the Morello component. So I'm already like 3 items deep. And then I have to build Rabadon's as my 4th item. And it's hard. It is really hard to get 3,600 gold, 28 to 32 minutes-ish into the game. Because at that point, at my elo at least, the game's usually pretty much over. Games usually end around 3 to 3.5 items in my case. But I mean, if games go longer, Rabadon's could definitely swing a game because you'd be outputting so much damage. But I think, and what I'm going to go to next, is the counterpart to that, which is the Void Staff. I would probably build Void Staff later in the game. I would put it at A tier, only because it's 2,800 gold. It's 800 gold less than a Rabadon's. And hear me out, okay? It doesn't give you the 120 ability power, it's only 65, but it gives you the 40% magic pen. And you can build a component, the Blighting Crystal right here, Blighting Jewel, gives you 13 magic pens. So this is really good. So you got Sorcerer Shoes, you can build this for more magic penetration. It's a good item. So I would personally build Void Staff over Rabadon's because looking at my 4th item, it's a lot cheaper and it gives you a lot of good stats where people are starting to say, hey, this Malzahar kid's incredibly freaking annoying. He's like, let me build some magic resistance. Another big sip. So I would build Void Staff personally, and I'm going to put it at A tier. I don't care. Sorry. Next up, Shadow Flame. I would put it as B/C for Malzahar. It's kind of a good item. I mean, its stats make it a good item. Let's see if we can find it over here. Blah, 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 blah. Am I just not getting it? There it is. Shadow Flame. Okay, so it gives you 100% ability power, really good, or 100 ability power. It gives you 200 health, a little bit of tanking, a tiny bit of health tankiness. Its passive is really good. It does magic damage based on their current health of their magic resistance. So it's kind of like if it ignores. So magic penetration, 10 to 20% of their current health is magic resistance, increased to the maximum value of 20 magic pen, based on if they're affected by a shield. And everyone in League of Legends now somehow gets a shield some way, whether it's through items, they have like enchanter supports. When they get low, they proc a shield, barrier, what have you. So this item is actually pretty good. It's only cost 3k. This is usually what a lot of like mages like Syndra would build, like her 2nd item. Like they go Ludens and then Shadow Flame because it gives you max, magic penetration. So I would put it as B tier. I have used it a couple times as Malz and I actually really liked it. I enjoyed it using it. So that's why I'll put it as B tier. I don't know exactly if it's there, if it should go maybe in C tier with Demonic, because the amount of times that I do build this item is very rare. But in that case, I'd throw Rabadon's, but that's not for me. So that's for you guys. I'd probably put it as B tier. I think it's a perfectly viable item, depending on your matchup. Everything here is matchup based and again opinion based. Mage Eyes, I personally would say don't buy it, but there are points and times where I just buy a Dark Seal because screw it. there are times in games where I'll get like 2 kills off of like a jungler tries to come and gank and then our jungler is there for a counter. So it's really hard to use this item, especially on someone like Malzahar, because he's a supportive mage. So he runs in, you press R, which completely exposes you to everyone else, saying, "Hey, we need to stop this kid from ulting our teammate." So we're just gonna all jump on him. So that's why I don't know that I would build Mage Eyes. I don't think. I personally would put it again at D for don't buy. But for the mass majority, I see some people just go Dark Seal just 'cause. So maybe it's a C tier item, incredibly good for scaling, but again, I personally think I throw my body on the line when I'm playing Malzahar for my team, so I would not get a lot of use out of this because most of my games I'm either like 3, 3, and 11, or 1, 3, and 6, or 2, 4, and 15, something like that. So I usually have more deaths than I have kills, or right around the even mark, but I have a ton of assists, so yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna put this as don't buy. I'll apologize later. Morello's. I would put Morello's as A. I think Morello's is incredibly good on Malzahar, just given his kit. Let's look. You get ability power, health, magic pen, which is also good. But the biggest thing is, Grievous Wounds. Grievous Wounds is really good, cuts their healing in just about like half-ish. Anytime you damage them for 3 seconds. But if you have your space aids on, your E, it's going to do a lot more, damage over time, which is going to keep Morello's proc. It's going to keep Riley's proc. You can reproc it with his Void Lanes. You can reproc it with his ult. You can reproc it with his Q. You see where I'm going here? So that's why I would build that. I always build Morello's component, which is the Oblivion Orb right here. I always build this like pretty quickly, pretty early into the game. Not super early, but like on my way to Rylai's, I'll either buy Rylai's and then get the Morello component, or I'll buy the component before getting Rylai's. So I mean, it's a cheap 800 gold for, half of their healing cut, and that's huge. That's stuff that really helps because just like shields, everyone loves to heal in League of Legends. That's something Riot's got to figure out. So Oblivion Orb, really good item. Builds into an even better item with Mora Morelicon. Did I say it right? Mora Morelicon? Monicon? But anyways, good item. Good item, A tier. Cosmic Overdrive. Where's this bad boy at? Right, Cosmic Drive, not Overdrive. So let's even pull up Cosmic Drive, it'll let me. So this item, I'm also kind of mixed on. I'm really mixed. I want to see what the Reddit community has to say about this. It gives ability power, a really good amount of ability haste. That's huge for Malzahar. 30 ability haste is huge. And move speed, honestly, because you can run people down with, Rylai's slash Ghost slash, it really helps. So Spell Dance, damaging an enemy champion with an ability grants 2.5 bonus move speed over the next 5 seconds, stacking up to 4 times for 10% max bonus movement speed. That's good. And dealing damage refreshes the effect. So before this item was changed, it used to give like even more, ability haste. I think this one, it's just move speed. So I don't know, to be honest. It gives you 30, which is a massive amount. Like if you build Leandri's, Zhonya's, Cosmic Drive plus Lucidity Boots, jeez, you're gonna be on like a 20-second cooldown. Oh no, where did it go? Uh-oh. Oh, thank God, it all comes back. Whew. So yeah, if you build like those 4 items, you're gonna have your ult on cooldown like every 30 seconds. That's insane. So I haven't tried that yet. I'll try this out in the game and I'll post it. But I think it makes a case for B. Personally, because I never buy this item, I'll keep it at C tier. Purely based on the fact that I don't buy that item, but I think it makes a case for B tier. And so last 2 items, these are the fun ones. I really want to put these like high up. Not S tier, maybe A tier, but probably B tier. Let's put it at B tier. We'll see what happens. It did just get nerfed. This is patch I think 13.12 or something like that, 13.11 or 12. So right after the nerf, what happened is this thing used to do a lot of damage. So Imperial Mandate, it's a support item. This is why it's busted. It costs 2,300 gold. That's insane. 2,300 gold on a mid-mage character is crazy. We were just talking about Rabadon's is 3,600. Most items are like 3,000 to 32 or 3,300 gold. This is 2,300 gold. It gives you 55 ability. It gives you a decent amount of ability power. It gives you 20 ability haste. Really good. Again, really good on Malzahar. And it gives you mana regen. That also really helps when Malzahar is throwing out abilities left and right. So, we have this coordinated fire passive, which anytime you slow or immobilize enemies, it'll deal bonus magic damage. It'll mark them, and anytime a ally champion hits them, they also do the bonus magic damage, except it's a little bit buffed. And then you both get move speed for 2 seconds after you hit that. 6 per champion, starts upon mark application. You know, what does it say? 6-second cooldown per enemy champion. That's really good. That's basically like Heartsteel, but like magic damage, kind of. Plus movement speed. So what this damage used to give, or this Imperial Mandate used to give more damage and a little bit less movement speed, but honestly, with the quote-unquote nerf, might be a buff depending on who you're throwing it to. Because Malzahar can proc this so easily. Once you get Rylai's, you have your Rylai's, any kind of slows you apply to them, or if you press R, it immediately applies to them, and your teammates are hitting them, so you're proccing this for free. This is a really good item, incredibly cheap. Okay, after hearing this, I'm probably going to put it at A. I think I'm still going to build it in my games. I built it in like my last 2 games that I played. I played it in a ranked game. I won with it, and no one thought it was troll. So that's the crazy part. So the only downside to Imperial Mandate is that this is going to come after Rylai's, so you're at that like 3 item mark plus the Morello's component. So you're kind of giving up, you know, Zonia's or Void Staff or something like that to build Imperial Mandate. But I don't think it's bad. So I'm going to put that there. Static Shiv, I don't know. This item is taking the Rift by storm, and they did just buff it. So let's look at the stats real quick. So it gives you attack damage, you don't need attack damage. Attack speed, you don't need that. Crit, you don't need that. The only thing that makes this item insane is the AP ratios. So this item would definitely come late into the game. I'm talking like your 5th or maybe last item. Yeah, if you have, what, 6 slots, yeah, this is definitely your 5th item, your last item. When you move, your attacks get energized, and your basic attack deals plus 50% AP bonus magic damage, increased to what it's saying based on level, so 125 AP against minions. So this could be really, really good against, you know, like clearing waves. Like Malzahar takes waves incredibly fast, but imagine you press E, so you put your space aids on a minion, and then you attack him one time with Shiv, and then just the entire wave just boop, 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 boop. Everyone's just gone. All the minions are gone. Wave's just not there anymore. I could see a case for this. I would personally put it as don't buy. I think it's a bait. But I have watched a video of Prophet Malzahar. Again, shout out to my man Prophet Malz. He's so good. He built this item in a game, and he was like literally spazzing out about how good it was. So I mean, clearing minions, and again, sometimes, you know, it's like Vigar. Vigar has a massive AP stack, so once he autos an enemy champion, all of a sudden, bam, they just get smacked by an auto. So I know Malzahar, I am using autos quite often. Like I'll throw my E, W, and then Q, but then I'll also be trying to weave in autos in between those. So I could see a case for that. You know, you're building a lot of AP, and then maybe if you build that with like Rabadons, you know, increase your damage output. I could see this item being really good. But I mean, for the purpose of everyone watching, don't get baited by it. It's kind of a fake news kind of thing. So I wouldn't buy it. I'll put it as don't buy, but I can still see it being fun. So yeah, so this is my tier list, boys and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That's a good song. But good tier list, I think. I can't wait to see this change in literally like a month. But yeah, that's it for now. I think what I can do here is I'll throw these items back. I'll just go through like a basic build, and I'll see what kind of builds I like, and we can go from there. So I think a first basic build in this game, whenever I'm playing, my build order usually always goes Liandry's first, and then Rylai's, and at this point I would have to make a choice between boots. And I don't have the boots here. Are the boots up here? Yeah. So you can go Ludens or Lucidity boots, which gives you plus 20 ability haste, plus 12 summoner spell haste, which is good. This is really good if you're going this item because you already got a lot of ability haste from Leandri's. Or you can go Sork Shoes, which is the next best one, gives you 18 magic pen, also really good. But there are cases where you can go Steel Caps. I know I said Ninja Tabbies earlier. You know, that gives you armor, or if you're getting, yeah, if you're facing like a Zed or Talon or something like that, and you're getting shafted, definitely build Steel Caps. If you're playing against and you lose to like a LeBlanc, let's say, or like a Syndra or a Fizz, I could see a case. Or if they have like 3 or 4 magic dealers on their team, you could build magic resistance boots. Perfectly viable. Any one of those 4 boots would not do those. No Swifties, no Berserker Greaves, no Mobilities, Mobies. So yeah, so I would do these 2 items plus probably Lucidity boots. My alt cooldown is already at like 40 seconds. And then we build the, I wish I had the Oblivion Orb, but we'll just put it as that. We'll put the slot here. More Morelicon, really good item. You know, you got your burn, you got slow, and anti-heal. That's like you could build those 3 items and just not build anything else on Malzahar, and you'd honestly be okay, in my humble opinion. But the next item that I would go in this case, probably Zhonya's, because, you know, people are starting to notice that I'm ulting more. They need me dead to start team fights or around like Dragon or something. So I would probably need that stasis to go, you know, untargetable for protection, defense item. And then lastly, if I were really trying, I'd probably get Void Staff. It's cheaper. I can hold on to that Blighting Jewel, which is right here. What is it, 1250 gold? Yeah, 1250 gold's not that hard to get. So that would be a core first build. Now what I've recently been doing here is I've been going Imperial Mandate, and then more Morelicon, and then probably Zhonya. So I'm doing the max amount of damage. I'm incredibly versatile for the team. I have burn, I have slow, I have, you know, I do magic damage, you do magic damage, we both get move speed. That's really cool. I have anti-heal, and I have a defensive item. So I think that personally is a perfect build, because ability haste, ability haste, ability haste, plus boots, your ultimate cooldown's always going to be up no matter what. So that would be a first build. I don't think you can go wrong with that build. I think I would build this in 90% of my games, no matter the team comp. But, you know, this is definitely for more like team play. Plus, you know, I'm building the Leandris because they're more tankier or bruiser. But I could also see a case where, you know, maybe you start out with Ludens and then you go Shadow Flame. You don't really care about the slow. You just say, hey, I want to do the most bang for my buck. And so now that you have a massive damage output, you want to complement that with Rabadons. So now you have a even bigger damage output, plus you got magic penetration. Come behind that with a Void Staff, and you're just dealing basically true damage at this point. You're going to be dealing a massive amount of damage to squishies. And then I guess for final, I would probably go Zhonya still. So this is if you're like playing a solo carry, you know, you don't care, it's you versus the world, 1v9, your teammates aren't going to help you. You just need to output the maximum amount of damage on a single target and watch them get deleted off the screen. So I would build Ludens, Shadow Flame, Rabadons, Void Staff, and then possibly Zhonya's for a little bit of cooldown, a little bit of defensiveness in case you are going really hard. Maybe even something that just screams aggression. This just screams team player. This screams aggression. So those are my 2 sample builds. I hope you guys like it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know, I really like making item tier lists. I think it's really fun to theory craft and think about all the possibilities of what limitations you can pull from your champion. I think, I don't know who found out the Imperial Mandate kind of thing, or why no one ever thought to build that item, but it is incredibly good on Malzahar. I've had a lot of fun using it. The next game I probably play, I'll try and put it on in a ranked game and not get screamed at by my teammates, but I think it's a really good item given its cost. But yeah, these items are really cool, fun. You know, Malzahar has very little, unfortunately, has kind of a little bit of, you know, skill expression, because you're only pressing a couple, you're just face rolling the keyboard, pressing R one time, hope that it just wins the entire fight. So that's it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, friends.